I'm Adrian Ravarour, and I'm here with Patricio Maya Solís.
Hi.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you.
Patricio is involved with Darkroom as our featured writer who reviews the different photography programs and exhibits that we have. You've written a number of essays. You did Vacation Land, you did America's Finest Kids, you did the Scott Southern show. You've written a number of different works. And I'd like to talk to you about that, but also of even more interest is you've written a book now that's just come out called Walking Around with Fante and Bukowski and Other Essays.
That's right, Adrian. Thank you for having me, first of all. Education Director at Darkroom.
I guess as Education Director I simply point and say, this is a photograph, and this is a photograph. But you do that in your essays. It's sort of interesting. You don't directly approach something as something and then explain what it is, but you indirectly approach things, and you approach aesthetically with the texture, the mood, the feeling, the essence, and still allow people to draw their own conclusions.
Well, I think, you know, when I write essays here for Darkroom, I do so not so much in the spirit of criticism. I don't want to criticize a photography show. I don't want to criticize an artist in either sense of the word. Or critique. I don't want to critique, I don't want to criticize. I'm out to read a work of art, I think. And I think I do that not only in terms of, you know, the photography shows, but in terms of other essays, be it, you know, personal essays, political essays. I don't subscribe to the theory of I'm out to prove a point. In fact, I'm out to learn something, but I don't know what it is. I think that's...
Is it more of an experience?
It's more of an experience, yes.
Explain what you mean by that.
Well, you know, when I write about something, I don't know what it's going to give me. Okay? So I just go out there not knowing what, and then I record that experience, and then at the end hopefully there's a message or an insight, but it's not something that I'm conscious about.
So is it a process and an examination?
I think so. I think so. Usually I have certain points that I want to talk about, and I focus on that. But, you know, if there's something else, I go with it.
You wrote about world bloggers and the new democratic struggle and cited, I think, 3 artists, including Weiwei.
Sure.
How would you integrate that into your method of perception?
Well, that's the most or the least personal essay of these 20 essays that are included in this collection. So I had a different method, I think, or not a method, I did more research, and it was less sort of personal in the sense that I didn't go to a place and experience something and came out with something. I had more of a goal here, which was to explore bloggers writing in dictatorships. Ai Weiwei in China, Hussein Darakhshan in Iran, and Ioannis Sanchez in Cuba. And after doing this, what I came out with, you know, after doing this research, I came with the idea that there was a sort of movement going on of bloggers in dictatorships. And so that's what I found out. But before that, I had more of a clear idea, and, you know, it's not a first-person essay, so it's a little different in that sense.
How would you compare that to Aldo's Magic Lantern? Because again, you're looking at another person's world.
Right. You know, with Aldo Tambellini, what I did was I posted a Craigslist ad looking for artists who had interesting stories in upstate New York, in Syracuse, while I was a grad student. And I got, you know, several, even, you know, I don't know, 20, 30 replies. And then I went through all the replies and I found Aldo Tambellini, who is an Italian-American 85, 86-year-old artist who has an amazing story. He was part of he was in the war in Italy, came to America, so many things. And, you know, I met him in Boston, I talked to him for hours, and pretty much I immersed myself in his world. And, you know, I didn't know much about his art. He was greatly overlooked. In 2009, when I wrote that article, that essay. And little by little, you know, I was lucky enough that he sort of came up as an artist, and he was featured. He was at the Tate in England, you know, and now he is sort of like up and coming at 86, yeah, years old. He is now a well-established international, I want to say, art star, you know?
An overnight success.
Yeah, it took him, you know...
85 years.
Yeah.
Your interview led to...
No, not at all. But...
Well, quite possibly.
I was lucky. But and, you know, I'm glad for him. He's a great artist, video art pioneer and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But I immersed myself in his biography.
Well, you do seem to immerse yourself in the work and finding out what makes the artist tick. How would you say that influenced your perception of Camera Night at the Ivar?
Camera Night at the Ivar was a very controversial show, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Ivar was this strip club in the 70s and 80s, where people, mostly men, went to see naked women dancing, you know, normal strip club, but they had a camera night. So they allowed, I forget what day of the week it was, every Sunday I believe, though I'm not sure, they allowed for people to bring their own cameras and capture the dancers. And so there are photos of these dancers naked, and men would just take, and including some famous photographers would come in and take photos. And so I wrote about, it was difficult to write about it, but I just sort of, I did a lot of research on the outside, you know, what is the meaning of male lust? I think that's what I wanted to, that's what I saw. Again, I didn't want to look at just the photos and say these are good, these are bad. I don't do that. There was an issue that I cared about, male lust and the, I don't know, metaphysical sense of that.
Well, what is the essence of male lust? I'm sure there are varieties of.
Sure, it might be a return to the womb. I mean, not to get too...
No, it's fine. I'm wondering if it's primordial. Are there certain innate drives that people are driven with? I mean, since, you know, testosterone is manufactured in your body and you then have that chemically in your blood, that then is a energy that somehow affects people, that is then mediated by the societal norms or lack of or whatever that the person has been entrained in.
Right.
So people are enculturated in belief systems, etc., and then yet we also experience life. And life sometimes seems to be the learning process of how you then navigate or attain balance or go through certain processes and learning observations.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what really caught my attention about this show, Camera Night at the Ivar, was that you saw working class men, working class women in this sort of very uncomfortable relationship or relation. You know, the stripper dancing, the lust-crazy male, as I call in the essay, just like staring at this woman who's exposing herself. There's a sense of exploitation and all that. But if you see the male countenance, the male face, staring at the vagina and the breasts, the female breasts, there's a sense of liberation almost. You know, so I wanted to really go to the photographs and see what is there and make this leap.
So is he liberated from the confines of society?
You know, it's almost like a religious thing.
Oh, okay.
You know, like sort of like the connection between lust and that religious feeling. And I saw it there.
Okay.
If you see these faces, it's almost like they're at an altar.
A transcendent moment.
Yeah.
And at an altar. Okay.
But it is the most sort of, you know, somebody described the Ivar as having cum-stained floors or carpets. And so it's the most sort of like trashy place, but at the same time, there's this sense of metaphysics there, for lack of a better word.